What if I told you that every grudge you hold, every resentment you carry, every person you refuse to forgive is literally keeping you trapped in a lower quantum timeline? That forgiveness isn't just a moral virtue or spiritual practice, but an actual quantum mechanism that rewrites your emotional code and shifts you into higher dimensional realities. Today, we're exploring something revolutionary: quantum forgiveness. This isn't about being nice or letting people off the hook. This is about understanding that at the quantum level, holding onto anger and resentment keeps you energetically entangled with the very experiences and people you're trying to move past. It keeps you locked in a frequency prison of your own making. Welcome to Quantum Love, where we explore the science behind spiritual transformation. I am here to show you that forgiveness is the most powerful quantum tool you have for rewriting your reality, healing your past, and stepping into the highest version of your future. Let's start with something that might shock you. When you refuse to forgive someone, you're not hurting them. You're creating a quantum entanglement with them that keeps their energy in your field, affecting your frequency every single day. In quantum physics, entanglement means that two particles remain connected, regardless of distance. What happens to one affects the other instantly. Your consciousness works the same way. When someone hurts you and you hold on to that pain, you create an energetic cord, a quantum entanglement between your energy field and theirs. And here's the part most people don't understand. As long as that entanglement exists, you're continuously exchanging energy with that person or experience. Every time you think about what they did, every time you replay the story in your mind, every time you feel that familiar anger or pain, you're activating that quantum entanglement. You're literally pulling their energy into your present moment. You're allowing the past to contaminate your now, which is the only point of power you have in creating your future. Think about it from a purely energetic perspective. Resentment vibrates at one of the lowest frequencies in the human emotional spectrum, around 20 to 30 hertz. Love and forgiveness vibrate at frequencies above 500 hertz. When you hold resentment, you're literally lowering your entire energetic frequency, which affects everything: your health, your relationships, your ability to manifest, your access to intuition, your connection to divine guidance. Unforgiveness is like carrying a heavy anchor while trying to swim. The person or experience you haven't forgiven is the anchor, and every day you drag it with you, wondering why you can't move forward, why you feel stuck, why your life isn't changing. The universe isn't keeping you stuck. Your unforgiveness is here's where it gets fascinating. Neuroscience has proven that your brain doesn't know the difference between something that is happening now and something you vividly remembering or imagining. Every time you replay a painful memory, your brain releases the same stress hormones. Your body experiences the same physiological response, and your energy field emits the same low frequency as when the original event occurred. You're literally re-traumatizing yourself every single time you revisit the wound. And from a quantum perspective, you're collapsing the same probability waves over and over again, recreating the same reality, attracting the same types of experiences and people into your life. Your emotional code, the programming that runs beneath your conscious awareness, is created through repetition. Neural pathways in your brain are strengthened every time you think a thought or feel an emotion. If you've been holding on to hurt for years, you've created superhighways of pain in your neural network. These pathways become your default setting, your emotional baseline. But here's the incredible news. Just as these pathways were created through repetition, they can be rewritten through new repetition. This is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself. And when you combine neuroplasticity with quantum mechanics, you get quantum forgiveness, the ability to literally rewrite your emotional code at the quantum level. That's something we need to address directly, because it is the biggest obstacle to forgiveness. The identity of victimhood. When someone hurts you, especially deeply, it's natural to feel like a victim. You were wronged. You didn't deserve it. They worth you. All of this can be true. But here is what most people do and realize. There is a difference between experiencing victimization and identifying as a victim. Experiencing victimization is what happened to you. Identifying as a victim is who you become when you hold on to what happened. And this identity, while it might feel protective, while it might feel justified, is actually a prison. It's a quantum prison that keeps you locked in the frequency of powerlessness. When you identify as a victim, you're making the person who hurt you more powerful than you. You're giving them control over your energy, your emotions, your frequency, your future. You're saying, what they did to me is stronger than my ability to heal. What they did to me defines who I am. What they did to me determines what I can create. And the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, reflects this belief back to you. You attract more situations where you feel powerless. You attract more people who hurt you. You attract more evidence that you're a victim. Not because the universe is cruel, but because you're collapsing probability waves that match your dominant frequency. And victim consciousness is a very specific, very low frequency. Quantum forgiveness requires you to reclaim your power. Not by denying what happened, not by pretending it didn't hurt, but by recognizing that no matter what happened to you, you have the power to choose how you respond. You have the power to choose what meaning you give it. You have the power to choose whether you let it define you or refine you. This is sovereignty. This is quantum empowerment. This is understanding that you are not a leaf blown by the winds of what others do to you. You are a conscious creator with the ability to transmute any experience, no matter how painful, into wisdom, strength, and higher frequency. Now let's talk about the most advanced quantum technology available to human consciousness. Compassion. Compassion is not weakness. Compassion is not being naive. Compassion is not letting people hurt you repeatedly. Compassion is the ability to see beyond the surface of someone's actions to the wounded soul beneath. Every person who has ever hurt you was hurt first. Every person who acted from cruelty was taught cruelty. Every person who betrayed you learned betrayal somewhere. Every person who abandoned you felt abandoned. Hurt people. Hurt people. This is not an excuse for their behavior, but it is an explanation. And understanding is the first step to compassion. From a quantum perspective, compassion does something remarkable. It transforms the frequency of the quantum entanglement between you and the person who hurt you. Instead of being connected through cords of anger, resentment, and pain, compassion allows you to transmute those cords into cords of understanding, wisdom, and eventually, neutrality, or even love. When you can look at someone who hurt you and genuinely feel compassion for the pain they must have been in to act that way, something shifts in the quantum field. The entanglement begins to dissolve. The energetic charge dissipates. The hold they have over your frequency weakens and eventually disappears. This doesn't mean you have to have them in your life. This doesn't mean you trust them again. This doesn't mean you expose yourself to being hurt again. Compassion can exist alongside boundaries. In fact, the most powerful compassion often does. You can have compassion for someone's pain while simultaneously protecting yourself from their unconscious behavior. Compassion is seeing the humanity in someone, even when they've forgotten their own humanity. It's recognizing that we're all souls having a human experience. And sometimes that experience is messy and painful and causes us to hurt each other. It's understanding that if you had lived their exact life, with their exact wounds, their exact programming, their exact traumas, you might have made the same choices they did. So how does forgiveness actually work at the quantum level when you genuinely forgive someone? Several things happen simultaneously in your energy field and in the quantum field around you. First, the quantum entanglement begins to dissolve. The energetic cords connecting you to that person or experience start to disintegrate. This doesn't happen instantly in most cases. It's a process. But every time you choose forgiveness, every time you choose compassion over resentment, you're cutting away at those cords. Second, your frequency begins to rise. Remember, resentment vibrates at 20 to 30 hertz. Forgiveness vibrates at 350 to 500 hertz. That's a massive jump. And as your frequency rises, you literally shift time. You move from a quantum reality where you're redefined by your wounds to a quantum reality where you're redefined by your wisdom. Third, you stop collapsing the probability waves of victimization and start collapsing the probability waves of empowerment. The universe responds to your new frequency by bringing you experiences and people that match this higher vibration. You stop attracting situations where you're hurt and start attracting situations where you're honored. Fourth, you free up massive amounts of energy. Think about how much energy it takes to hold a grudge, to maintain anger, to keep resentment alive. That energy is no longer available for creating your dreams, for healing your body, for connecting with others, for manifesting abundance. When you forgive, you reclaim all that energy. It's like removing a massive energy drain and suddenly having access to full power again. Fifth, you create space for miracles. In the quantum field, miracles are simply probability waves that seem unlikely from your current perspective, but are absolutely possible. When you're holding unforgiveness, you're blocking so many probability waves because your frequency is too low to access them. When you forgive, you raise your frequency high enough to access quantum possibilities that were previously invisible to you. Quantum forgiveness isn't a one-time event for most situations. It's a practice, a process, a journey. For small hurts, you might be able to genuinely forgive in a single moment. For deep wounds, for betrayals, for traumas, forgiveness often comes in layers. You might forgive someone today and find yourself angry at them again tomorrow. This doesn't mean you failed at forgiveness. It means there's another layer to heal, another piece of the wound to address, another aspect of the trauma stored in your cellular memory that's ready to be released. Be patient with yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. Forgiveness is not a destination. It's a direction you choose to walk in. The first step in quantum forgiveness is acknowledgement. You have to be honest about what happened and how it affected you. You can't forgive what you won't acknowledge. You can't heal what you deny. This means feeling your feelings fully, allowing yourself to grieve what was lost, allowing yourself to be angry about the injustice, allowing yourself to hurt. So many people try to skip this step. They try to jump straight to forgiveness because they think that's what spiritually evolved people do. But bypassing your pain doesn't make you spiritual. It makes you disconnected from your humanity. True forgiveness can only happen after you've honored your hurt, after you've validated your experience, after you've given yourself permission to feel everything you need to feel. The second step is understanding. This is where compassion comes in. Try to understand, not to excuse, but to comprehend what might have been happening in that person's life, in their consciousness, in their wounds that led them to hurt you. This doesn't make what they did okay, but it helps you see them as a flawed human rather than a monster, and that shift in perception changes everything at the quantum level. The third step is the decision to forgive. Notice, I said decision, not feeling. Forgiveness often begins as a choice before it becomes a feeling. You might not feel forgiving yet, and that's okay. You start by deciding that you're willing to forgive, that you're willing to release this person from the prison of your resentment, that you're willing to free yourself from the prison of victim. You can literally speak this decision out loud. Say their name and say, I choose to forgive you. I release you from my anger. I release myself from this pain. I choose freedom over resentment. I choose love over hate. I choose my future over my past. Your words carry frequency. They program your subconscious. They send ripples through the quantum field. The fourth step is repetition. Remember what we said about neuroplasticity. You created neural pathways of resentment through repetition. Now you create neural pathways of forgiveness through repetition. Every time the anger comes up, you acknowledge it, you feel it, and then you choose forgiveness again. Every time the memory surfaces, you don't suppress it, but you consciously choose a new response to it. Over time, something miraculous happens. The emotional charge around the memory begins to fade. You can think about what happened without your heart racing, without your stomach clenching, without your energy dropping. The memory becomes just that. A memory, no longer a live wound. This is when, forgiveness has moved from decision to integration, from practice to reality. The fifth step, and this is crucial, is self-forgiveness. Because often the person you most need to forgive is yourself. You need to forgive yourself for staying too long, for not seeing the red flags, for allowing yourself to be hurt, for the ways you reacted or responded, for not being perfect, for being human. Self-forgiveness might be the most important quantum work you ever do, because the quantum entanglement you have with your own past, with your own mistakes, with your own shame and guilt, is often stronger than any entanglement with another person. You cannot fully step into your power, your purpose, your highest timeline while you're still holding yourself prisoner to who you used to be. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your wounds. You are a soul in evolution, learning, growing, expanding. Every experience, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones, are shaping you into who you're becoming. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. Forgive yourself for not being who you are now back then. Forgive yourself for being perfectly imperfect, exactly as every human is. When you forgive yourself, you send a message to the quantum field that says, I am worthy of love despite my flaws. I am worthy of good things despite my mistakes. I am worthy of a beautiful future despite my painful past. And the universe, always responsive to your frequency, begins to reflect that worthiness back to you in tangible ways. There's also a sixth step that some situations require, and that's making amends. If you're the one who caused harm, quantum forgiveness includes taking responsibility, acknowledging the impact of your actions, and making genuine amends where possible. This isn't about groveling or self-punishment. It's about energetic completion, about closing the loop, about demonstrating through action that you've learned and grown. Making amends doesn't always mean direct contact with the person you hurt, especially if that would cause more harm. Sometimes amends are energetic. Sometimes they're about changing your behavior going forward. Sometimes they're about becoming the kind of person who would never make that mistake again. The universe recognizes authentic transformation, and that recognition opens doors that guilt and shame keep closed. Forgiveness is not about forgetting. It's not about pretending something didn't happen. It's not about reconciliation, although sometimes that's possible and beautiful. Forgiveness is about releasing the energetic hold that the past has on your present. It's about choosing freedom over bondage. It's about reclaiming your power to create your future without being chained to your history. You can forgive someone and still choose not to have them in your life. You can forgive someone and still maintain strong boundaries. You can forgive someone and still acknowledge that what they did was wrong. Forgiveness doesn't require you to be naive or to expose yourself to continued harm. It requires you to be free. Think of forgiveness like this. Imagine you're holding a burning coal in your hand, and that coal represents your resentment toward someone who hurt you. Every moment you hold it, it burns you. It causes you pain. It damages you. Now, the person who gave you that coal might be far away, completely unaffected by the fact that you're holding it. They might not even know you're holding it. They might not care. When you forgive, you're not doing them a favor. You're dropping the coal. You're releasing yourself from the pain. You're choosing to stop burning. This is self-love. This is self-preservation. This is quantum wisdom. From the highest perspective, everyone in your life is playing a role in your soul's evolution. The people who hurt you the most are often your greatest teachers. They show you where you still need to heal. They reveal your shadows. They push you to grow in ways comfort never could. This doesn't make the pain less real, but it does give it meaning. It transforms suffering into purpose. When you can look back at your deepest wounds and see them as catalysts for your greatest growth, when you can honestly say, I wouldn't be who I am without that experience, you've achieved quantum forgiveness. You've transmuted lead into gold. You've transformed trauma into wisdom. You've collapsed the probability wave, where you're redefined by what happened to you, into the probability wave, where you're re-empowered by what you learned from it. This is alchemy. This is mastery. This is what it means to be a conscious creator in a quantum universe. You don't deny the darkness. You transmute it into light. You don't reject your wounds. You allow them to become your wisdom. You don't fight your past. You integrate it into the foundation of your most powerful future. There's a phenomenon in Japanese culture called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold, making the piece more beautiful and valuable than it was before it broke. The breaks aren't hidden. They're highlighted. They're celebrated. They become part of the art. Your life works the same way. Your breaks, your wounds, your places of forgiveness, when filled with the gold of compassion and wisdom, make you more beautiful, more valuable, more powerful than you were before you were broken. Every scar you carry is proof that you survived. Every wound you've healed is proof of your resilience. Every person you've forgiven is proof of your capacity for love. You are not damaged goods. You are a masterpiece in progress, and every crack is being filled with gold. The quantum field doesn't judge you for your wounds. It doesn't see you as broken. It sees you as infinitely capable of healing, of transformation, of evil. It sees all your possible futures, including the ones where you're completely free, completely healed, completely empowered. Your job is to align your frequency with those futures by doing the work of forgiveness in the present. When you forgive, you're not condoning bad behavior. You're not saying what happened was okay. You're not weak or naive. You're quantum. You're powerful. You're choosing the frequency of your future over the frequency of your past. You're choosing to be defined by where you're going rather than where you've been. You're choosing love, which is always the highest frequency, the most powerful force, the ultimate quantum technology. Love doesn't mean allowing abuse. Love doesn't mean having no boundaries. Love doesn't mean being a doormat. True love, quantum love, includes fierce protection of your energy, your peace, your well-being. You can love someone from a distance. You can have compassion for someone without having them in your life. You can forgive someone without trusting them. These aren't contradictions. They're wisdom. The ultimate truth about quantum forgiveness is this: it is not really about the other person at all. It's about you. It's about your freedom. It's about your frequency. It's about your future. Every moment you spend holding unforgiveness is a moment you're not available for joy, for love, for creativity, for manifestation, for miracles. Every moment you spend as a victim is a moment you're not living as a creator. The universe is waiting for you to drop the coal, to cut the cords, to release the weight, to choose freedom. It is waiting for you to step into the quantum reality where you are no longer defined by who hurt you, but by how you chose to heal. It's waiting for you to recognize that you were never broken, just breaking open, cracking apart so more light could get in. Your past doesn't determine your future unless you let it. Your wounds don't define you unless you identify with them. Your pain doesn't own you unless you give it power. You are quantum. You are infinite. You are capable of rewriting any code, healing any wound, forgiving any hurt, and stepping into any timeline you choose. If this message touched your soul, if you felt the truth of quantum forgiveness resonating within you, show your support by hitting that like button right now. Your engagement helps this message reach others who need to hear it, who are ready to drop their coal and reclaim their freedom. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Quantum Love and turn on notifications, because we're exploring the quantum mechanics of consciousness, healing, and manifestation every single week. Remember, forgiveness is not weakness. It's the most powerful quantum technology you possess. It's your key to freedom, your portal to higher timelines, your access code to miracles. You deserve to be. The universe is waiting for you to choose it. I'll see you in the next video.